Hello, my name is Jack Chambliss. I'm an economics professor at Valencia Community College, and this will serve as your orientation for ECO 2013, Principles of Macroeconomics, and ECO 2023, Principles of Microeconomics for my online classes. Starting in the fall of 2010, Valencia has a requirement that if we meet with students live, the class that they signed up for as an online class becomes a hybrid class where we would have to meet more frequently in the weeks that follow. Therefore, starting in the fall of 2010, my orientations that formerly were live, at least for the first night, will now be online, which I hope will serve you well because many of you work and have other schedules that keep you from coming to campus. So this orientation is very important to establish what is going to take place this semester, to establish whether or not all of you have made a good decision to take economics online, and to help guide you through the syllabus and the WebCT component of this course to increase the likelihood that you will be successful. First of all, a little bit about myself. I've been a professor at Valencia for 19 years. This is as of June 2010. So by the time some of you are watching this 2 or 3 years from now, I will have been here for more than 20 years. For the last several years, I've been teaching the principles of micro and macroeconomics courses online. And this is the first semester that we've had orientation fully online. So hopefully you'll find what we're about to do useful to you and that it will help you be successful in this class. First thing we're going to do today is actually combine an orientation with what would be a day 1 or day 2 lecture in my economics classes in the traditional format. So what you're about to hear should help you to navigate parts of Chapter 1 and the very first essay question on your midterm exam that is coming up. Okay, so let's get started. You've taken this class, which means you've made a decision to pursue economics here at Valencia online. To an economist, there's a way of assessing whether or not that decision was a good one or not. In economics, we learn that every decision people make is driven fundamentally by a problem called scarcity, meaning every human being has an imbalance every day between our wants and needs and the resources that we have at our disposal to meet our wants and needs. And therefore, because of the problem of scarcity, that we don't have all of the money that we want, or we don't have as nice a home as we'd like to have, we have to make decisions each and every day to increase the probability or the likelihood of attaining the money or home or health care or job that we aspire to. So this decision you've made today is rooted in the problem of scarcity. You have an imbalance between either the amount of economics knowledge you have and the amount of knowledge you want, or you have an imbalance between the amount of credit hours you have and the credit hours you want, or an imbalance between the amount of required courses that you have to take and the amount of required courses you have successfully completed. However we can look at this, whether economics is being taken for personal enrichment or to fulfill a requirement here at this college or some other college, you have the problem of scarcity that you are dealing with. So you have made the decision to take this class in this format to increase the amount of credit hours, the amount of knowledge, the amount of economics training that you have. Well, to assess whether or not this format is the best format for you, in other words, to assess whether or not you've made a rational choice, economists want to know 3 things. First of all, when we're assessing the decision that anybody has made regarding buying a car or going on vacation, whatever the case might be, first thing we would like to ask that person is, what benefits do you think you're going to get from the decision you're about to make? We know that you have to make a decision because of the problem of scarcity. Now that you realize you have some imbalance in your life that you have to deal with and you're leaning towards making a certain decision, what benefits do you think you're going to get from that decision? So I would ask you to ask yourself, what benefits do you believe you will get from taking micro or macroeconomics online here at Valencia with me? In order to help you understand more clearly what those benefits might look like, it's incumbent upon me to provide you with some information that you need to have at your disposal to see if you've made an accurate assessment of those benefits. For most of you, you're thinking, okay, the benefits of taking economics online is that I don't have to physically go to a campus to listen to this person 2 or 3 times a week. The benefits of, some of you may be thinking, the benefits of taking it online is that it may be an easier way of taking the course. The benefits of taking it online may be that you're in a remote location. I have a student this semester who took one of my classes while she was in Alaska, and I've had students in Venezuela and other parts of the world taking my class. So maybe you're thinking, this should be an easier way of doing it. I'm far away from the campus, and I obviously can't physically get there, or I'm close to the campus, but I don't want to physically go there. And that makes some sense, because after all, in many ways, physically going to a classroom is a little bit outdated in some ways. We're not all required to go to Publix or some other grocery store at the same time. We're not all required to go to a car dealership at the exact same time. So it makes some sense that getting an education when it's convenient for our schedule could be beneficial to us. Another thing we want to know about in assessing whether or not you've made a good decision is what are the direct costs of that decision? By direct costs, we're talking about observable or known or quantifiable costs that you might incur to be here. Well, just like any other student, part of the direct cost is the cost of tuition and books and fees of taking this class. Part of the direct cost, though, is harder to measure. It's the probability that this class will not meet your learning style, or the probability this class will not turn out to be successful to you. Part of the direct cost is the amount of work, the amount of reading, the amount of video watching, and other inconveniences that may take place as you take this course. So just like any other purchasing decision, when we get ready to buy a car, we think, okay, what are the benefits I might get from this particular car? But what are the costs? What's going to be the actual cost of the car, the maintenance of the insurance on the car, the probability of getting more tickets if I'm driving a particular type of car? Those are some of the direct costs that we incur in making decisions. Finally, another cost that has to be taken in consideration is the opportunity cost. You'll see in your book in Chapter 1 that opportunity cost is the value of the second best choice that we can make in any decision that we're making. So by taking this class online, you have to ask yourself, what's the second best choice? Well, the second best choice could be taking this class online with somebody else, taking this class live with somebody else, or taking this class live with me. But once you make the decision to take this class online, obviously you cannot simultaneously take this class live or simultaneously take it with somebody else. It would be kind of silly to do that. Why take the same course for the same credits when you're only going to have this count towards your degree once? So for economists to assess whether or not somebody's made a rational decision, we have to look at all 3 parts of the equation: benefits compared to the direct costs plus the opportunity costs. And for us, when you're dealing with your problems of scarcity, if at the time you're making a decision you believe that the benefits of what you're about to do will be equal to or greater than the sum of the direct cost plus the opportunity cost, then we would say to you that it appears you have made a rational choice. Well, one dilemma many of my students have in knowing whether they're making a rational choice by watching this orientation at this time and being in this class at this time is a problem that economists call asymmetric information. In order for a market transaction, which this is, I'm the supplier of economics knowledge and you're the demander of that knowledge, and through Valencia you've agreed on a price to be here today. In order for a market transaction to work well, there needs to be symmetrical information, meaning a free flow of good information between the buyer and the seller. When a market works well, say the market for Starbucks coffee, Starbucks knows what price they're charging, what they're putting in the cup, they have an idea of the quality of it, etc. For the market, for Starbucks coffee to work well, the consumer also needs to know what's going in the cup, what the price is, and the probability that that product is going to satisfy them. Well, obviously Starbucks is a successful corporation, so buyers and sellers in this particular case have been able to maneuver through these transactions in a way where clear information has gone back and forth. The consumer doesn't get surprised by having mud in their cup, and Starbucks doesn't get surprised by people handing them a nickel and walking out the door. Well, the problem we have here is that as the seller or supplier of this particular service, I know what I'm going to charge you. I know what my requirements are going to be. I know what my grading standards look like. I know what my expectations are of you in terms of reading and watching things online and participating in discussions. But many of you have asymmetric information, meaning you don't have good information about what is going to take place. So this orientation is meant to clear up several things for you beyond just going through the syllabus, which we are going to do. It's meant to help put you in a situation where when this 45 minutes or however long orientation is over, you can sit down and do a clearer assessment as to whether or not you have made the most rational choice with your money or somebody else's money to be in this class. And I would encourage you to take this very seriously, because I would hate for any of you to be in the situation like many of my students, in fact most of my students are, where by the end of the semester they look back and they think, well, maybe I should have made a different choice. So let's go to the course syllabus at this time, which can be found by simply logging on to the course website, which is simply www.jackchambliss.com. Once you go to the course website, you can see the home page here. All you have to do is click on courses, and that will pull up the syllabus for both macro and microeconomics. So what we're going to do, the first syllabus that appears is the syllabus for macroeconomics. And again, I'm delivering this orientation in the summer of 2010, but chances are my course isn't going to change that dramatically. There will be updates to the website and new lectures and what have you. But this orientation, if you're here in 2012, maybe even 2013, it should still apply to you. I plan on coming in from time to time as my hair gets grayer and I don't look as young as I might right now, so I will update this as I get older and as things change. But other than that, this orientation will probably serve us for quite some time. All right, first of all, in looking at the important facts concerning online economics, you may recall that I mentioned that some of you are taking this class because maybe you think an online version of economics will be easier. I want to stop that thinking right now. In fact, I think taking it online is much more difficult than taking it live. My students in the traditional courses have the benefits of seeing me lecture on this material twice a week, asking questions right on the spot, having easier access to me in my office and what have you. And because of your schedule, or the number of children you have, work schedule, whatever is a driving motivation for being in here, many of you don't have that same access. So depending on your learning style, this may be a very difficult course for you to take. Economics is already considered to be right up there with physics and trigonometry and calculus and chemistry as one of the more difficult courses you can take in college. And for some of you, taking it online will simply add to the difficulty. So I have to maintain the same standards and the same requirements of an A, B, C, D, F grade in my traditional classes as I do my online classes. So there will be no breaks by you taking this online, but you will have the much higher cost of not being able to see this live. And for some of you, that won't matter at all. I've tried to design the online class so that for those of you who are good readers and don't need to hear lectures, can do very well. In fact, some of the best students I've ever had in my career at Valencia have been my online students, students whose work that I read and I email them and say, wow, I wish that I could have you in my traditional classes. Students who write like you and think like you are ideal, but they don't need to hear me, and that's fine. That's great. If you're that type of student, you have a much higher chance of being successful. But if you're here because you think, okay, I don't want to go to Valencia, I don't want to sit through these lectures, so I can just kind of do this at my own pace, and this is going to be an easier way, you have made an irrational decision to be here. This class is designed for students who are self-starters, who read a lot, who don't fall behind on the material that they are assigned to read, and who don't need a lot of hand-holding. In many ways, and this is an important part of this orientation, in many ways, my online classes are very much like independent study classes, where I will post the discussions, you will participate in discussions, I'll post the dates for the midterm and the final exam, I'll give you clear instructions for your Wall Street Journal project or perhaps a term paper, and then it's incumbent upon you to read the syllabus and say, okay, the midterm is over these chapters and these lectures online, here are the discussions on WebCT, and without hand-holding from me, it's incumbent upon you to keep ahead of the ball game in your reading, to stay on top of the lectures you're supposed to watch online, to stay on top of the discussions. So for my students who take this class and end up deciding that it's very much a rational decision to be here, they're the types of students who don't need to be helped a great deal through the process. They're the types of students who, from reading and from watching my lectures or other people's lectures online and not falling behind on things, they show up for the midterm, they show up for the final, they show up to turn in their projects, and they ace the class without even having to do any extra credit. But notice I've mentioned many times reading. When I sit down to write my midterm and final exams, I turn on my computer, I have the book next to me, I have the packet of articles next to me, and when I sit down to write the exams, I ask myself a question. And the question is, Jack, let's find out who's been reading. Have they been reading? So this is the same for my traditional classes. Many of my tests find out if they've been reading. My lectures in my traditional classes are often more of just a performance to help them see economics come to life. But this is college, and I have an obligation to you. Some of you are going to be transferring to some of the finest universities in this country. I have an obligation to you to make sure that if you transfer to Stanford or Duke or Florida or wherever, that when you walk in your next economics class or business class or whatever, that you have been exposed to economics at a college level. So if you're the type of person who's been caught up in the Facebook/texting/ surfing the internet, on YouTube, whatever, you need to understand, there was an article that came out several months ago that I think it said that people from the age of 13 to 19 spend an average of 58 hours a week on the internet, Facebook, texting, talking to their friends, watching American Idol or whatever the case might be. For you older students, I would imagine that number is a lot less, but I have found that it dramatically raises your probability of failing my class or having to withdraw from my class if you spend so much time on other activities that it keeps you from reading the book. This class is very traditional in that you have a textbook, and I expect you to read it. Back in the days when I was in college, that's all we had. We didn't have online classes. We didn't even have the internet. There were no PowerPoint presentations. You had a book, and you had a professor, and that was it. And it was incumbent upon you to stay on top of things, and your professor didn't give you a lot of hand-holding through any of the processes. So that's the way it's going to be here as well. Take a look at some of these numbers for the spring of 2010. And again, if this is 2013 or whatever when you're watching this, I doubt the numbers are going to change that dramatically because they haven't over the last several years. In my online classes, in my 4 online classes in the spring of 2010, altogether out of 100 students who started the class, 1 made an A, 7 made a B, 14 made a C, 3 made a D, and 3 scored an F, and 72, that's right, 72% of the students ended up dropping the class, either with a WP or WF. And now you know here at Valencia, we no longer have, after the drop date, a WP or WF option. That if you drop after the withdrawal date, you're going to be assigned a grade. and not a W. So if you look at D plus F plus withdraw, 78% of my students ended up not being successful in this class. Now, if you're thinking right away, oh my goodness, maybe I should have taken his class live, the number there is 75%. So there's very little, and in fact no statistical disparity between my traditional classes and my online classes in terms of the percentage of students who are currently making an A, B, or C. My standards are very high. Economics is very difficult. And these days I have discovered that so many students are distracted with so many other activities that when I tell them the most important thing to your success is keeping up with the reading, getting a hold of me if you don't understand anything from the reading, either through email or by calling me or coming by, the students just, many of them largely ignore that and think, well, I'll be okay even if I don't follow these instructions. So these numbers are a sobering, hopefully a sobering reminder of what I'm trying to emphasize here in terms of what will increase your chances of being successful and alternatively what will increase your chances of not being successful. All right, I don't want to spend a lot of time going through a syllabus that you can read on your own, so some things we'll go through more quickly. If we go to how to get started, once you go to your Atlas account, which is hyperlinked here, it will take you to the Blackboard Learning component of WebCT for this course. So let's go to that now, and I'll take you to what your screen should look like when you get to your economics course. You notice on top here, this says Principles of Macro, ECO 2013. The CRN is 33651. So this is for one of my summer session B courses in 2010. Over on the left-hand side, you will see the course tools. The most important one for you that I will be using all the time is the discussions link. So if you click on discussions, you will see it will say welcome and discussion number 1, then discussion 2, discussion 3, and through here I will provide for you weekly, or in some cases bi-weekly, or even more frequently than that, discussion questions for you to get involved with, to discuss economics and figure out with your classmates online whether you are understanding the material or not. Now, we'll see in just a moment how much of your grade or how in your grade the discussion component will fit in. But in terms of increasing your chances of success, I have found that students who participate in these discussions dramatically increase their chances of being successful in the class. You will notice when you take your midterm and final exam that many of the questions will be very similar to things that I've posted in the discussions. So whether or not you are responding to discussion questions or at least looking at those discussion questions, I think it's very important for you to keep up with this in order to give yourself a better chance of doing well on the midterm and final exam. My office here at Valencia, I am on the West Campus here in Orlando on Kirkman Road. I'm in the northernmost part of the campus in Building 11, room 200C. You will be able to find my office hours. I will update it based on the semester you're in class. And my phone number, I doubt, will change. What I want to talk about for a moment is the email address here. I will not be using the email address that's provided through Atlas. The email address you see here, jchambliss@valenciacc.edu. That is the only one that I will be using while you are a student of mine. And I want to make sure to emphasize this point very clearly. I will email you frequently with updates on the course. I will email you with instructions on how to sign up for the Wall Street Journal. More on that part of the course in just a moment. So it is important that you go home, I would say at least once a day, before you go to bed at night, whenever, and log on to your email to see if I've gotten a hold of you about anything. The way you will get your grades in this class. When I'm finished grading your midterm, I will send out a broadcast email when the midterm grades are ready, and it will say to you specifically, you can now email me to request your grade and an appointment to go over your test if you would like. So if you do not keep track of your email, you could end up missing important changes to what's going on, important updates, test postponements, whatever the case might be. Okay, since we are not going to be meeting live for me to hand this material out, you see now on the syllabus it says how to get the needed materials. Well, obviously on your textbook and other things you can purchase at the bookstore, but you will have access to a sample midterm. I will, when you send me your physical mailing address, please do not email me to ask me to email this to you. It is paper that I'll be sending to you. I will send you a sample midterm, and in the sample midterm it will be an actual test that another student took a few semesters ago where they made a 97, so these questions will be very similar to what you can expect. In addition to the sample midterm, you will receive a packet entitled The Economics of Liberty. It will have several articles in here, and I will tell you that this will be just as important to your test preparation as the textbook will. Many of my questions will come from your reading of these articles in this packet. So, if you want to come by my office, set an appointment to do that, to meet me and talk about any concerns you have, I can give you the material at that time. Or, as you see here, all you have to do is email me and make sure that you provide your name, your physical mailing address, and as soon as I get it through email, I will put the packet together, I will mail it off to you, and you will have the sample midterm and the articles that you're going to need to help you with this class. Moving on. The recommended textbooks, I would have brought in a textbook today to hold up and say this is the book. The dilemma there, of course, is that I'm starting this fall, I'm going to be rewriting the book, and so most likely in January of 2011, the book's going to look completely different. For those of you who are taking the class at this time, all you have to do to see what the book looks like is go back to where it says My Books, click on that, and it will show you what the cover looks like. But your textbooks can be found at the West Campus and Osceola Campus bookstores. I do not believe you can find them at Winter Park or East Campus at this time. So you will need to physically come to West or Osceola to get the books. In addition to the textbook, which is entitled An Applied Approach to Microeconomics or Macroeconomics. Make sure you get the right book. The covers are very similar, so make sure it's the one that goes with your course. There will also be a book entitled The Law by Frederick Bastiat. It's a 70-some-odd page book written in 1849 by one of my favorite economists. And this book you can buy this online for $2 or $3. I think the bookstore charges about $4 for it. So you can find this anywhere. But this book, The Law, you need to have all of it read by the midterm exam every semester. If you are looking for a way to save money, unless it's a semester where I'm using a brand new book, I have seen many of my books on Craigslist and eBay and other online sources, so that would be a good way for you to save a great deal of money if you don't want to go to the bookstore. Recommended viewing. You'll see when you go to the speeches link on my website. When you click on speeches, and this gets updated frequently, so pay attention to this, you will see many audio and video lectures, some of them by me, and this summer I will be adding at least 4 new video lectures to my website to help both my micro and macro students, and I'll try to add more as time goes along. But you will see or hear audio and video lectures that either I have done or that are from a gentleman by the name of John Stossel. We'll talk more about him in just a moment. Or other professors who have put things online that I think are very useful to you. Anytime something is new, it will be indicated by a red-colored font below the lectures. But you'll notice many things on here. You will also see that below each video or audio, it will have the appropriate chapters. If there is an asterisk, and I'm considering putting 2 asterisks by things that are more critical, but for our purposes, if there is an asterisk by any of the lectures or audio recordings, this means it is not only fair game for your midterm or final exam, it means that chances are it will be on the midterm or final exams. So this will be your way, instead of having to come see me live, this will be your way of sitting there at 3 o'clock in the morning when it's convenient to you to get the lectures or other web-based material that I think will be important in terms of increasing your chances of doing well on these tests. So make sure that you keep track of this. All you have to do is look at the chapter numbers below each of the lectures or speeches, and you will be all set. I mentioned John Stossel. John Stossel was an ABC News correspondent for almost 2 decades, I believe. He now has a show on Fox Business, which I believe is channel 124 here in Orlando, but that could change by the time you guys are watching this. John Stossel, in my opinion, is a journalist who best understands the case for free markets and seems to best understand economics. So I have used a lot of his material with his consent on my course, and you will see him many, many times. So if you're wondering why do I keep seeing this guy, it's because I believe he does, in many cases, a better job than I can do. He certainly can travel around more than I can do in exposing the real world of economics to you. Another part of the required reading is this newspaper, the Wall Street Journal. If you're a business major, you may already, or if you're a business person, you may already read this newspaper every day as it is. But the Wall Street Journal, I think, provides the best background you can get in the United States for understanding the political economy, for understanding economics, current economic events. It certainly is written at a level that that college students can handle and should enjoy. And you'll see in just a moment when we talk about the grading in this class, a third of your grade is going to come from a project from the Wall Street Journal newspaper. And to sign up for the Wall Street Journal, you have 3 options. You can go to WSJ.com, sign up there for it. They have special rates for students. You can call 1-800-JOURNAL and sign up there. The best way to do this, when I email all of you at the beginning of the semester, I will give you the information the Wall Street Journal requests of me to get you signed up for the student rate. Normally, if it's a full semester, it's about $14.95 for 15 weeks. If you're taking this during the summer, it's normally $6 or $7 to get it for 6 weeks. So they give you a substantial price break, usually around 70% off if you're a student. If you sign up online or by calling 1-800-JOURNAL, make sure you mention my name and which class you're taking so you can qualify for the student rate. But again, I will email all of you to get information from you if you'd rather sign up directly from me. They send me sign-up forms that I can fill out on your behalf and mail it in where you can get everybody taken care of at once. Okay, to the part that you care most about, your grading. First, you will have a midterm exam, which will count for 1/3 of your grade. The midterm exam will be 7 essay questions, 5 of which you are required to answer. I cannot impress upon you enough the importance of following the instructions in the midterm. It will say very clearly in the instructions that if you don't follow the instructions, you will lose 5 or more points off of your midterm grade. So when you take the midterm, make sure you read the instructions very clearly. But your midterm will cover chapters 1 through 8, the healthcare chapter in your book, and the healthcare chapter is different whether you're taking micro or macro. It will also cover the packet of readings that I will mail to you, and that book, The Law, as well as the video lectures that have asterisks next to them on the course website. So again, the midterm covers chapters 1 through 8 of your book, the healthcare chapter of your book, the law, the packet of readings that I will mail to you, and the lectures online. That sounds like a lot. It perhaps is, so you should get started as soon as the orientation is over, in my opinion. So 1/3 of your grade will come from the midterm. You will be able to take, I do not give the midterm online. It is the midterm and final exam are 2 instances where you do have to appear somewhere. I need to make sure that security is not compromised when I give these exams, so I no longer give my exams totally online. If you're taking this class, if you're like my student this semester who's in Alaska, She has her book. She has a laptop. She's able to do the entire course. She made arrangements with a college nearby to go to their testing center and take the midterm and final exam. So if you're not going to be in Orlando, you need to do the same thing. As soon as you can, find a college or university nearby, even if it's in a foreign country, and you need to email me the contact person at the college, the name of the college, their email address, their phone number, all the pertinent information, so that I can contact them immediately and let them know that you're in my class and that on the appropriate exam date, I will be emailing the exam to them. They will administer the exam there, and they will then fax a copy of the exam and mail me the physical copy of the exam back here in Orlando. So it doesn't matter where you're taking the class, but you do need to find a college or university that has a testing center, even a high school that may have a secure testing center. And once I can confirm that it is a legitimate place where other students take tests, we will be in business. If you're here in Orlando, I will send the midterm and the final to the Winter Park, Osceola, East, and West campuses. So you don't need to let me know where you're taking this class. All you have to do is go to one of the campuses on the day of the exam, and you're all set. Make sure you bring a Valencia photo ID if you're taking it at Valencia, because they no longer accept a driver's license. At least at this time, they do not accept a driver's license for you to take these tests. So 1/3 of your grade will be in the midterm, 1/3 of your grade will be the final exam, and the last 1/3 of your grade is the Wall Street Journal research project. So the instructions should be very clear. What you're going to be turning in is something like this. The Wall Street Journal project, you will find 10 articles from the Wall Street Journal during the time that you are enrolled in the class. So if this is fall of 2010, your Wall Street Journal articles will cover August of 2010 through December of 2010 to make sure that you're using current articles. You will have 10 separate topics that you will have to turn articles in on. So I wouldn't want you to turn in 3 separate topics and then 7 on supply and demand, or 8 on the problem of scarcity. So you need to have variety in the articles that you turn in. But you have all of the instructions in front of you. But to physically see what this student did, first of all, notice you need to turn it in spiral bound. FedEx, Kinko's, perhaps Office Depot can take care of this for you, but paper clipping it or stapling it or having one of those plastic covers with a sliding stick, none of that is acceptable. I need it turned in where I can open it up just like a book. On your first sheet, the student has their name. It says Wall Street Journal Project on their cover sheet, and then it says on the next sheet, Article 1. It gives the title of the article, the date, and it says, importantly, topics covered. After that cover sheet, the student includes the article. You can go to WSJ.com to get the printable version online, or if you want to cut them out and photocopy them, as long as the photocopies come out in the 8.5 by 11 sheets, then we'll be fine. So they have their article, and then size 12 font, double spaced. You'll notice 1, 2, 2.5 pages of analysis, not summary. I require at least 2 to 3 pages of analysis. And if you're wondering what's the difference between analysis and a summary, first of all, I get the Wall Street Journal and try to read it almost cover to cover every day. So I will have read the articles. Chances are I will have read the articles that you are submitting in your project. So I'll already know what's in them. And a summary is just restating what's in the article. By analysis, what you have to do, if you pick the problem of scarcity, you need to show that you can apply what you learned from the book, from the articles, from the course website, that you can apply everything you learned about scarcity and show me everywhere scarcity shows up in that article. If you find an article about the demand for a certain type of phone increasing, then you need to show me that you learned the material in the book, from the website, from the articles, and that you now can apply that to the article and show me everywhere in the article that there's been a change in demand or maybe a change in supply in that particular case. The due dates for the midterm, the final exam, and the Wall Street Journal project will be very clear in the syllabus. I will not send you reminders of due dates. Unless I change them. That's the only time you'll get a reminder. If I don't change the due dates, I have every expectation of you showing up on the day of the midterm, on the day of the final, and to turn in your Wall Street Journal project, you can either come by my office, you can turn it in at the Business, Behavioral, and Social Sciences Department, which is in Building 11, Room 103, or you can mail it to me. I'm not responsible for anything the United States government or FedEx or UPS loses in the mail. So if you send it through the post office, I encourage you to pay the extra $1 or whatever it is for delivery confirmation so it can be tracked. And of course, you're probably going to be safer if you use UPS or FedEx Ground or something like that. So you have the opportunity of turning it into me, turning it into the department, or mailing it to me. If you mail it to me, you have to have a postmark at least on the day it's due, so I can see that it was complete at this time. So that will be the last 1/3 of your grade. And again, if you are unclear about any of the instructions, just email me or call me, and I'll walk you through it. Well, you can see that the midterm exam location and final exam information is provided next. Course discussions. It should be very clear to you that I will grade the course discussions to help with close calls. Let's say you end up with an 87 average after the midterm, final, and Wall Street Journal project. What I will do, having kept track of the number of times and the quality of your postings on the discussion section in WebCT, I will go back and take a look at how often did a student post. Did they show they read before they posted? And here I want to stop for a moment and encourage you to understand I'm not interested in opinions on the discussion section of this class. When you click on discussions and you see the question that I've given you for that week or that day or whatever, I expect you to read first, or read and watch the material online, or watch the material online, read Bastiat and read the articles. I expect you to cover your bases to show that you have understood economics first and then answer the question using economics. So if I ask you a question on healthcare, I'm really not interested in a life story about all the people you've known who tried to get healthcare and couldn't afford it and what's going on with them and that you feel that healthcare should be free or that you think the hospitals are mean. None of that. Anybody can do that. You're in economics class, so I expect you to apply economics to the questions that are answered. And at the end of the semester, I'll go back and take a look at the sum total of your work. And if I'm satisfied that you kept up with the discussions, that you responded to other people's discussions and did what you were supposed to there, if you end up within 3 percentage points of the next letter grade, I will round up and then the 87 will become a 90 and you'll receive an A in the class and so forth. If you miss an exam, you need to make sure that I get documentation. Some of you taking this online are going to be traveling and doing other things. When I give an exam date, and you'll have the exam date well in advance to help you plan at work or with family or whatever. When I give the exam date, if you're going to miss it, I need documentation, airplane ticket, doctor's notice, a letter on company letterhead from your boss saying they have to go to work that day, and then you'll be able to take the makeup test. The makeup test will be 5 essay questions. You'll have to answer all 5, and it will be given during the week of final exams here at Valencia. The grading scale is very clear. To make at least a C in my class, notice it's a 67%. It's my opinion that for my courses, if you learn at least 2/3 of what I teach, that is average. If you go back and look at my distribution of grades, you'll see it's a normal distribution. Not many A's and F's, not as many B's and D's, mostly C's. Well, statistically, that means my course is finding what it's supposed to find. I mean, if you've got 5 possible outcomes, statistically, the most common one's going to be the one right in the middle, unless there's a problem with the way that you're grading or conducting your course. So the grades aren't skewed towards D's and F's, nor are they skewed towards A's and B's. So for many of you, listen, you may be an A student in humanities or in engineering, but maybe economics isn't your thing. If I took a physics class, I would be thrilled to make a C. I would love for someone to say, Jack, you're an average physics student. Physics isn't my thing. So if you end up making a C in this class, don't look at it as a catastrophe. Maybe it is a catastrophe if you're very bright in economics, but you didn't do what you were supposed to do. But a C isn't necessarily an indication that you did poorly. Maybe it was just the best you could do this semester under these circumstances. But anyway, there's my grading scale for you to make sure you're clear on what what you have to get to earn a certain grade. Online etiquette, make sure you look at this. Don't correct other people's grammar or spelling. Don't use profanity. Be polite and respectful of other people's opinions. It is fine to go at it. I mean, I would have no problems because I will post many discussions that are very controversial. I would love to see spirited debate. But let's be polite, and please check your own spelling and grammar so that you're not sending what amounts to text messages online. That irritates me, and I'm sure it may irritate other people as well. Finally, you see the withdrawal date, and notice that the syllabus can change without notification. Sometimes things may come up where I have to add a chapter or change a deadline. You have my guarantee I'll never move a deadline up. Okay, if anything, they'll go back. But the last thing I wanted to show you is the extra credit opportunity that you have in this course. If you go to the miscellaneous link on the course website right here and click on it and scroll down, you will see many movies under the heading Liberty and Economics in the Movies. I will try to update this as we go along as well, but if you pick one of these and then write, I believe I've asked for 1,500 words perhaps. Excuse me for 1 second, please. Yes, a 1,500-word essay explaining everywhere economics appears in the movie, and then follow the deadlines. If you turn that in, it will be worth 20 points. So if you think about it, if you make a 62 on the midterm, if you do this extra credit project, it will increase your grade from a 62 to an 82. I'll simply apply it to one of your tests or, of course, overall to your grade. So I encourage you to make sure that you do this. Again, it's worth 20 points, not 20 percentage points, but simply 20 points to be divided evenly between all three of your other grades, midterm, final, Wall Street Journal project, or the easiest way to think of it is just putting it right on your midterm grade. So that should conclude everything that you need to know for this class. There may be things that I have left off. If there are any questions that you have when this orientation is complete, I encourage you to call me or email me with anything that you feel that I did not cover carefully, and I will do that. I almost forgot. You will notice on the discussion section of WebCT there are no deadlines. I allow for you to have free reign on when you want to go in and post answers to those questions. Now, you should know, if I give you a midterm examination date, any discussions I post up to the midterm, I would need to see that you answered those before the midterm. But you can answer them whenever you want. You can respond to other people whenever you want. I try to maintain maximum flexibility for this class. So if you're looking for deadlines, there won't be deadlines except all discussions prior to the midterm for the chapters leading up to the midterm have to be completed by the midterm. Anything you do to try to catch up after that, I will not even read. Also, don't look for me to join the discussions. A lot in the past when I did this, students would simply wait for me to respond, and then they would dovetail off of whatever I was saying, and then you would lose the creativity and independent thought in the discussion section of this class. So in many ways, I will be on the sidelines reading what you've posted, monitoring what you've posted, every now and then interjecting thoughts or opinions or corrections in faulty economic thinking, or if you're being rude to somebody, I may have to deal with that. But this will be for you and your classmates to maneuver through and enjoy, hopefully, leading up to each of the two exams. So as far as I know, that is everything that I needed to address today. I hope the information is clear and useful to you. I wish you luck. And again, go back to Chapter 1 and look at that definition of what constitutes a rational decision. And what you should do right now under the head, you should get out a piece of paper, and under the heading Benefits, Direct Cost, and Opportunity Cost, I think you should take the information I've given you today, reassess benefits, direct, and opportunity costs, and ask yourself whether you believe you'll have a high probability of being successful in this class or not. If you don't think that's the case, then you're at a time where you can still drop the class and get your money back and move on and take it with somebody else. If you are going to stay, I wish you good luck. I hope you enjoy the class and enjoy the book, and I encourage you to get a hold of me anytime you have any concerns. Have a good day.